Welcome to episode number 331, where I'm speaking with Dr. Sujatha Kekada about some common ailments we can experience, especially during the transition of the seasons, like cold, flu, and stomach bugs. Dr. Sujatha explains why these conditions are more prevalent around the transition of the seasons and what we can do to prevent and treat them. So please stay tuned. Hi there, I'm your host Colette, and on this podcast I will be sharing the teachings of Ayurveda, yoga, and holistic health practices. Now, if you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend checking out the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. Thanks for listening, and now here's a new episode. Hello and welcome back to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. Today, I'm very happy to welcome back our regular guest, Dr. Sujatha Kekada. And for those of you who are new listeners, Dr. Sujatha is the head physician and co-founder of AmrtaSiddhi Ayurvedic Clinic in Ubud, Bali. She is a certified Ayurvedic doctor with a degree from Rajiv Gandhi University in India. Dr. Sujatha's profound understanding of Ayurvedic medicine and her deep love for plants is the basis for her exceptional ability to diagnose the root causes of diseases and to find effective remedies. Combining intuition and compassion with a bright intelligence and a rock-solid pragmatism, she is able to effectively guide people truly individually, just as the spirit of Ayurveda demands. Dr. Sujatha, welcome back to the podcast. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Colette. Thank you for inviting. And hi, everybody who's listening there. Thank you.
Well, I think today's topic is very timely, right? We're coming up on the change of seasons, going into autumn in the southern hemisphere and spring here in the northern hemisphere. And this can be a time where there's a rise of seasonal sickness due to the transition, right? And so it's a really perfect topic for where we are right now. And I think, Dr. Sujatha, if we could start with why our bodies are susceptible to sickness during the seasonal change. What's happening and why are we prone to sickness?
Okay. Definitely important topic that everybody should have some awareness on this. It's also understanding this topic will also give us an awareness like how nature affects our body and what changes does it go through and what we can do. As we see the nature outside in the nature, our body is also a nature. And this nature in women particularly, we see the menstrual, whole cycle, the ovulation time, the shedding of the endometrium, menstrual flow, and finishing off that, fertility time, all those things. So it's another season that going in our women's body, which is much more obvious. And that also happens in men's body, but we don't see the menstrual flow happening in men. But in the nature, season changes and we see, spring, new things comes out, fall, leaves fall off. And then, so there's so much changes goes through the physiological aspect of in the nature in plants. And that does affect our body, no matter what, whether you believe it in or not, or you don't clearly see that for you, but this changes is obvious. You don't need to believe in Ayurveda or understand Ayurveda for you to experience the changes in the body. Let's see what happens as the nature going through the different seasons. Ayurveda believes and understands that as seasons changes, it impacts the dosha of your body. Regardless of your constitution, nature has impact on aggravating or decreasing the doshas in our body. So let's begin with summer. When there is an outside summer, it's a time naturally pitta gets aggravated because of the heat and humidity, heat and moisture. As we know that pitta is heat related and it also contains water elements. So naturally that moistureness and heat in our body increases, leading into increase or just slightly show some symptoms of inflammation. And that's why Ayurveda also talks about changing your diet according to the change in the season, so that natural precipitation of increase in dosha, you could maintain it without disturbing the physiology. So summertime, pitta increases, we're prone to get more inflammatory diseases. And also externally too much of hot, so body try to compensate by reducing the heat inside, by reducing the agni. So the agni is also weak. So your diet need to change. It cannot be heavy, fat-rich, protein-rich diet, what we generally do in the winter season. And you also see that in winter, your agni is high, you feel more hungry. And as the summer comes, your appetite, desire for food, desire for heavy food reduces, because it's a natural mechanism. The body sends a signal that agni is weak, so we don't need more food. So that's what happens in summer. Pitta increases, tendency for inflammation. If you don't listen to the needs of your body, you don't make any adjustment with your lifestyle and diet, you're going to suffer from inflammatory diseases during summer. It could be simple with acidity or inflammatory skin condition, or if you have any inflammatory diseases, it's likely to flare up. And then we have fall, where it is windy and, it rains a lot during that time. And this is the time where your vata gets aggravated, and leading into vata related imbalances of, people start to experience more anxiety, nervousness, restlessness. Also arthritic conditions get aggravated. People experience more pain related to joint issues, muscle issues, and then more than ever in summer, they feel much better. But as the fall comes, because of vata aggravation in the nature, it affects our body, and these problems can aggravate any aches, pains, stiffness, a joint related issue, neurological issues, anxiety, stress. They all are controlled by vata. That's why we experience that more. We see the chance of these conditions in regardless of any constitution, it can be experienced. But if people are predominant with that constitution, they are more likely to experience more pitta related diseases in summer. Vata constitution is going to experience more vata related diseases in fall time. And then we have our winter and spring. So winter is the time where kapha accumulation happens because it's cold. There's no heat. Like, we see snow and stuff. So kapha is more in a solidified state. As the first spring sun rays warmth comes up, this accumulated kapha start to melt, and we start feeling a lot of mucus related issues in spring, particularly the allergies, pollen related allergies. People suffer a lot from allergies and eczema related condition more in the spring season, because the accumulated kapha from the winter time, it starts to melt and blocks the channels and, creates allergy, runny nose, flu, these kind of symptoms. So changes in the season impacts our body. That impact is seen through the aggravation of doshas. And if we are not following the diet and lifestyle to keep this mildly aggravated dosha in check, then we're going to manifest a disease. And this impact can be seen on any constitution people. But if you're constitutional, you're predominant with certain doshas according to the season, you're going to see a significant effect on you.
Okay. And in today's episode, we particularly want to cover, seasonal sickness like cold and flu or stomach bugs. And we see they can be rampant, and especially start with school age children, right? We'll often see this, that there's a bug going around the schools, and then it's brought into the home. So what is the root cause of these elements? You already described how the seasonal change can affect us, and if we don't adjust to the season and adjust our diet accordingly and lifestyle, that we may be affected. But what's happening in the body to manifest a cold, flu, or stomach bug?
Very important question, Colette, because this is something I wanted to bring this awareness to people, because a lot of the time I see in my practice, people have cold flu. They do not really understand what's really happening in the system. One, they try to take medication. Some people just sit out the cold, but they don't know what are the few little things they can do to support the body to heal quicker. not have the aftermath effects. We can talk that in detail in cold, flu, or tummy bug, or stomach flu. What really happens? Simply speaking, these three conditions involve Agni Mandya, means impairment of your Agni. According to Ayurveda, Agni is an important factor. That's the key, which on a daily basis transforms the food that we are eating into nutrition and getting absorbed by your cells and, producing energy, repair, and which continues life force, which nurtures the life force, which nurtures the spirit, produces the urges. So this is the key. And when the Agni gets impaired, first thing it leads into kapha imbalance, producing ama, and then cold, flu, or tummy bug. So okay, this is the baseline what happens in the body. And then when that's there, it attracts pathogens. Pathogens on a day-to-day basis, it's around you, on your skin, or maybe on your nose and stuff. But when the environment of your body is like this, low Agni, kapha, ama, definitely your immunity is going to go down, and these pathogens invade the body, and then we get the symptoms of cold, flu, or tummy bug, depending on where they are attacking your system and manifesting the different symptoms. So this is what simply happens: low Agni, kapha increase, and production of ama. This is the three things happen. I want to also talk a little bit about understanding the cold, influenza, and tummy bug, how to differentiate in what. Generally, cold and flu, we talk as a replacement word. Cold it's also a viral infection, and it's milder versions. All the symptoms of cold and flu are very similar, except flu may have a strong fever and extreme body ache, and you will be sick for more than 2-3 days. And also, it will take a long for you to recover back your energy and get back to normalcy. So it may last 2 weeks of malaise and tiredness. Cold is a simpler version, runny nose, congestion, mucus, maybe mild fever, okay, very mild aches and pain, but you recover much more faster. So this is the cold, and that's influenza. Influenza could be a little bit of serious. COVID we had, it's kind of one kind of influenza. That's why a lot of people, once they had COVID, they had long COVID, they call it nowadays, but it's a similar. We had influenza in the past, and people had cold, flu, chest cough, and then feeling sick for more than 2 weeks period of time, taking long time to recover. And then we have a tummy flu, which is basically a bacteria or virus affecting your digestive tract and creating discomforts like diarrhea, vomiting, cramps, bloating, pain, these kind of the symptoms. So I think these are the basic sicknesses that we all suffer, particularly kids more than the adults, as they are more exposed to germs and pathogens and stuff, and if their diet is not taken care. And it's very important, it's very interesting too, because children group, the age of children, the childhood time, kapha is predominant, and that's why they are more prone to get these kind of disease than adults, because naturally as we talked about, seasons affecting your doshas, the age we are in also affects your dosha. Childhood is predominant with kapha energy, middle age is with pitta, and elderly time after 55 further up, that's predominated by vata. So that's why, no doubt, children are more prone to get flu and cold because they're in the kapha period. And if we are not aware of that and we don't take care of the diet of our children, they're more prone to get these cold, flu, and tummy bug syndromes.
With the flu, would there always be fever with the flu?
Most likely, there would be a mild rise of temperature in flu.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So we see in the flu that there's a lot of like that achy pain all over the body. So there's quite a bit of a vata correlation there. I mean, of course, it's, it would be individual manifestation for each person, but in general, it seems to be more vata kind of pitta.
Yes. So again, a flu can have a predominant symptoms, either vata or purely kapha, or vata or pitta vata. Say people can get a flu symptom with really cough, congestion, ending up in pneumonia. So there you can say, okay, this is kapha predominant. Or somebody can get a flu with a lot of aches and pain in the body, dry mouth, dry eyes, even the cough is dry. So that could be predominant with vata. And somebody can get a pitta predominant flu influenza, where it could include a little bit of a diarrhea, high temperature, almost like a shivering, shaking, body so hot. So in this way, there could be a fine differentiation to understand the predominance of dosha. But initially, everything starts with Agni going low, and then Ama, and then infection. Yes, the bugs are outside there. That's why I always feel for myself, and I also think like, hey, you don't need to get sick as soon as you come close to somebody sick. If your child is sick or something, as long as your system is good, your immunity is good, your ojas is good. Ojas is a pure form of kapha. So when kapha is healthy, you produce ojas. When kapha is excess and out of balance, we produce ama. So if you have more ama, you're likely to get these infection if someone else in your house or surroundings have it. Because imagine anything, bacteria, virus growing or fungus growing, more likely when things are wet, damp, and lacks dryness, right? So same thing, your body is in that condition. So you're going to attract infections faster than anybody else. So instead of worrying about that you're going to come in contact with somebody who's sick, we can always protect ourselves by making sure that my immune system is good. And I understand there are some people are prone to immune deficiency and stuff. Of course, we need to protect and be respectful and careful, but I'm just talking about a general group of people who are not suffering from any of the immune deficiency diseases.
I'm going to jump in here to tell you about my next group discounted cleanse starting April 19th. It's the spring cleanse, and it's specifically designed to help you transition through the seasons, preventing these types of illnesses. It comes with a 90-minute consultation, so I can tailor the cleanse and the self-care, the yoga and the mindfulness to you and your lifestyle. And what we'll do is we'll eliminate any accumulation of toxins or ama, any accumulation of doshas, boost your immunity, and you will feel light, clear, and energetic by the end of the cleanse. It's a group cleanse, so there's a private community where we can support each other and hold each other accountable. So if you want to join us starting April 19th, please check out the link in the show notes or go to my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com, and check out the events page for the April 19th group event. And if that date doesn't work for your schedule, you can do a private cleanse. It's the same structure. You just have me one-on-one for support. And most importantly, you get to choose your own dates that fit into your calendar. You can find the private cleanse under the programs tab. And I hope you can join us so you can transition through the season with great health and vitality. Okay, let's get back to my conversation with Dr. Sujatha. I want to cover how do we treat these conditions, and then let's talk about preventative health as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk about the prevention first, because that's what Ayurveda's big thing is. Its aim is prevention. And when we fail to take care of ourselves, not listening to our body's needs or calls, we fall sick. And then the medicinal approach or purification, detox, or panchakarma comes. Simple as I think in many of your podcast and where we did together, we have covered about, how to prevent ama, how to keep our Agni healthy. So basically these two things, keeping your Agni strong, exercising regularly, taking time to mindfully breathe, eating for your constitution, following some rules of eating, like not to eat too late, not to eat when you're not hungry, and checking the emotions of your mind, processing your emotion. As much as it's important to digest the food properly, we need to digest our experience too. So experience of senses, of what we see, do, hear, all those things. And our emotions need to be processed and understood and clarified so that we don't produce ama in the mind. And if you produce ama in the mind, it's need to be transferred to the body, and your body is going to experience that, and mind experience that too, through the dullness or feeling anxious or worry, or extremely agitated, angry, and temperamental, and not having the emotional balance. So these are the few things: eating when you're hungry, exercising regularly, following a routine, and choosing the food that suits your constitution. If you could do these four simple things, I think health is easy.
Absolutely. And if I could add a couple of things, is that ice, especially, in the US, a lot of ice drinks, getting ice automatically when you go out to eat in restaurants, that's very problematic, right, for the Agni.
Yes, because Agni need to be kept warm, and the body tries to keep that only in case of infections to burn or fight the pathogens. Body increases the temperature. And when we drink ice cold water with food or juices with the food, it dampens the Agni. Unless you have a super hot Agni, like a teenager boy, I think it's harmful to drink ice cold water with our meals.
Yeah.
Or even without the meals, just when you're thirsty. If you overheated, it's okay. But in a regular habit of reaching out to the fridge and pulling a bottle of cold water and drinking, and some people I've seen, they do it even in the winter.
Yeah, because it becomes a habit when you're used to getting ice in your drinks when you go out. Then it becomes a habit to put ice. People, really need to understand that. And of course, ultra processed foods, right, which are pretty much dead foods, very little to no prana.
Wholesome food, eat the food the way they really look like, not that it looks something different than what it naturally looks. That's a simple principle, I would say. And, if you can, avoid food from the cans. Preserved food is okay. Pickled food is okay. Frozen is definitely better than a canned food. So if you live in a place where you can't get fresh food, frozen, I'm talking about frozen fresh food, not the food which is cooked and then frozen.
Right.
Which is definitely low prana and affects our immunity.
Yes, indeed. And then you mentioned a great point, like only eat when you're hungry, right? Because some of us were so attuned to eating with a clock, and especially if you're on a work schedule and you get a certain time off for lunch, that means you're on the clock. And I think a lot of us are tuned to the clock when we eat without even the awareness, like, am I hungry or not? I think that's a really good point to tune into your true signs of hunger. Like, is your Agni ready for food?
Yeah. And hunger is a sign. Hunger and appetite, having those two together is excellent. That you have the desire to eat, because eating food is also a pleasure. So you fulfill that because you desire the food, and you eat the food you desire, which makes you happy. And also you eat when you're hungry. So it's almost like having hunger means the fire is switched on so you can digest the food. And when we eat, when we're not hungry, particularly our dinners, food just sits there and it doesn't get digested through different enzymes and bile juice, etc. The food rots and it impairs the gut bacteria, and then people start to feel gassy, bloating, produces ama, and so on. The manifestation of the disease goes.
And on that point, when somebody is not feeling hunger, like they're, all through the morning, maybe they have no signs of hunger. This is a sign of Agni Manda, slow Agni, which you mentioned earlier. What should they do in that case?
Yeah. See, if you don't feel hungry until, like, say 10 o'clock, it's okay. It's nothing wrong about it, because it's a kapha kala, vata and kapha kala. And after 10, when it is a pitta kala, when the sun is peak, naturally your body should be able to have that Agni. And if you're not feeling hunger, you need to see, okay, why it is like that. One, you could be emotional. When we have emotions, different strong emotions, we may not feel hungry. Even if you're too happy also, you don't feel hungry. You might have experienced sometime, you're hungry and eating and you get some good news or you get excited about something. Suddenly your hunger disappears. And same thing can happen. You're hungry, you're sitting to eat, and some awful news you hear or something hurtful happens and your Agni just disappears. So extreme emotions can disturb the Agni. So if that's a reason, then it is okay. It's a temporary, and you just work on those emotions, and you will get your Agni back and the appetite back. But without that, if you feel not hungry at all, that means there's deep, deep, deep Agni Mandya. You can say that your gastric juices are less, your hydrochloric acid is not produced enough, your pancreas is not working well, your liver is not producing the bile. So that means everything is sluggish. That means it's a good sign that you have excessive kapha and sluggishness in the body. You got to kickstart with good exercise, taking hot lemon ginger water to burn the ama. There are herbal preparations available like hingwashtaka or ashtachurna, trikatu, triphala, these things to help to burn the ama and ignite the fire. Or maybe if you're strong enough and you don't have the other underlying health conditions, so just a excessive kapha increase because of maybe you sat down too lot and maybe drank too much of coffee to suppress the hunger, or tea, or ate late night large big quantities of food, so you just messed up your Agni. Then you just do a fast for a day or two. Just maybe you can drink some broth if you're feeling very weak, or just herbal teas, or maybe just some soup. So you can do a couple of days of fasting, just giving you bare minimum nutrition that's needed for your physiology to function. So if you're working, you need some energy, so you could do like that to get your hunger back. Fasting is the best way to do the ama pachana, means burn the ama, reduce the kapha, ignite the Agni back.
Today's show is sponsored by Banyan Botanicals. Through the years, I've been really impressed by the quality of this company. They're a certified B Corporation and carry Ayurvedic herbs and wellness products, all made with organic, fairly traded and sustainably sourced ingredients. Now, I love the taste of coffee, but I don't want the caffeine. And so I'm really excited by Banyan's new bitter and bold drink mix, which is a rich and robust herbal coffee alternative with a hint of cacao for a delicious flavor. Try out Bitter and Bold for yourself and stock your home with effective herbal formulations from Banyan so you can sleep better, stress less, and stay healthy and grounded no matter what life throws your way. If you're outside the US, you can find Banyan's full line at the Vedic store or Ayurvedic Herbs Direct. For those in the US, save 15% on your first order when you shop at banyanbotanicals.com/elements. Just go to www.banyanbotanicals.com/elements and enter the promo code elements at checkout. You'll find that link in the show notes also. And so now let's move on to treating the conditions of cold, flu, and stomach bug.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I'm going to say now, this is going to be like a simple awareness for you all to have. When you have a cold and flu, I said it's low Agni and a lot of kapha. That means you don't want to do anything cold, including fruits, including salads. Okay, we talked about the ice water. It's not even good for a healthy person unless you're really hot and you're in a 40 degrees Celsius temperature, you walked a kilometer, or you read, yes, you can have a glass of chilled water or ice drinks. So basically you want to increase your Agni. So even when you have cold flu, if you're not hungry, I suggest do not eat. And if it goes for a whole day, if you're not hungry, you got to eat something light to ignite the hunger. Then you can just make a vegetable broth or even a chicken soup. Just the broth of it just gives you energy and it's light, so Agni can be ignited, so body can digest it. And drink a lot of hot lemon and ginger, as long as you're not too pitta or not having this severe symptoms of pitta imbalance like severe fever or burning sensation in the body or in your stomach. So definitely hot ginger lemon is good in case of flu, cold. Maybe not in your tummy bug because it's already irritated. You don't want to take too much of lemon and ginger at that time tummy thing. I'll cover that one. And so if you do the soups, broths, hot teas, hot water, sipping throughout the day, You can also do some tulsi tea. In the Western world, you get some oregano, so you can take some oregano oil mixed with the other food because it's very strong. And you can do castor oil packs if your chest is congested, and keep away from anything to do with cold. So don't wash your head because it's very important, because you have congested sinus, runny nose and stuff. Washing your head further aggravates it. You keep your head dry and only take a shower if you really feel so hot and sweaty. Otherwise, sponge bath is the best way to clean yourself until your head cold respiratory infection disappears. And always soaking your feet with warm water and some salt also relieves the nasal congestion and stuff. You can also do some steam inhalation with just simple as Vicks vapor rub that you get with hot water, or you can put a couple of drops of eucalyptus oil and do the steam to get this essential oil work on killing the bacteria and stuff from your respiratory system, particularly the upper respiratory system. So these are the few essential things to keep in mind when you have cold. And definitely wheat, dairy, milk products, all these things completely a no-no. Simple thing to eat is soup, broths, simple khichdi, maybe a little bit of rice with a little bit of dal. And if you want to eat meat, only in the form of soup and long cooked broths and a little bit of a stew. That's all I would say to do. And then if you have an Ayurvedic doctor, consult them to get the Ayurvedic medicine. If not, just doing these things and taking good rest would make your healing faster. On the top, I also recommend to take some good vitamin C when you have flu and cold. I would recommend in a esterase form. So this is the form that is fat soluble, so it stays longer in your body. So, and also it's important when you take vitamin C when you are sick, you don't want to chuck 2,000, 3,000 in one go, because vitamin C is not stored in the body and body gets rid of it. So if you give in a small dosage more frequently, the chance of absorption and usage of the vitamin C is higher.
So for vitamin C, that's a great point. Just 500?
3 times a day.
3 times a day. Perfect. And then basically you're doing the opposite qualities of kapha here, right? You're keeping things hot, light, and easy to digest. And you said a castor oil pack on the chest to relieve congestion. So tell us a little bit more about that. We use castor oil packs frequently in Ayurveda, but just for people who don't understand the qualities of castor oil.
Castor oil is a very good decongestant and anti-inflammatory, and also it relieves the pain and inflammation. So basically you can take a piece of cotton wool, just enough to cover the area of the chest that you want to apply on, or a cotton wool, and you wet the cloth or the cotton wool with castor oil, and on a pan you just slightly warm it, and then you can put a thin cloth on your chest, and then you put this warm castor oil pack on the top of the cloth, and then cover it with maybe a cling foil, and just leave it. And then you can give a little bit of heat, continuous heat, by a gently warmed hot water bottle. So doing that for 15 to 20 minutes gives a lot of relief and makes the whole process of healing from the cold and flu faster. And excellent. It works on tonsils. Like if you have swollen tonsils and painful tonsils, put the castor oil pack. You see such a amazing result overnight.
On your throat?
On your throat, on the tonsils. You just put 2 pieces of, you can just use, women, we have this makeup removing cotton wools. Just take one of those things, wet it with the castor oil, warm it up, and just stick it on your tonsils.
Oh, so
not
you're
inside, outside.
Outside, right? Okay, that's what I was saying, on the throat, because it's all the castor oil penetrates the skin, right? And that's one of its biggest qualities. Yeah. Okay, not inside. People know. And talking about oil, and you mentioned, don't wash your head. And I presume that obviously oil on the head, if you're doing Abhyanga massage, is not recommended at this time.
Nothing. No, nothing to put on the things which is wet in quality.
Right. Okay.
And if you're into Ayurveda, or you have an Ayurvedic shop, what you can do is you can rub a little bit of Rasnadi Churna on your crown. That will help to dry off the congestion and excessive moisture that your sinuses and channels are creating.
Right. Rasnadi Churna being a very dry, it's almost like a ochre or orangey color powder that has the drying qualities. And you normally put it on that soft spot
Crown.
area, the crown of the
Yeah.
head. Yeah. Okay, great. And that's something done traditionally, right? In India, that people, as kids, you would put this on their top of their head going out in the morning.
For the kids, after they get the shower, generally you take a couple of pinches of that and you just gently rub it on their crown as to prevent the moisture seeping down.
Right, great. And then you mentioned about, the feet in warm water. And I was thinking about maybe some Epsom salts if you're having, the flu-like achy symptoms in the bath.
Yeah, you can do the Epsom salt. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. That was all my questions there. So that was for cold and some flu.
Yeah,
suggestions.
Cold and flu, same thing. Flu, if you're having high temperature, you want to make sure that if the temperature goes above 39 degrees Celsius, you really want to bring it down, because anything above that, it can affect the brain functioning of the organs and stuff. So you want to maintain the temperature. So in that case, if you don't have anything, taking some paracetamol is good. Cold compresses helps to reduce the temperature. And if the flu is giving you a cough with mucus, which turns into green or yellow, you definitely want to take some medication. So, other than what I said about the home remedy, things like some Triphala or Trikatu or those things, definitely some Ayurvedic herbs like Dashamula Katutraya, Talisa Patradi, Arogyavardhini. There are many things. So if you not have seen an Ayurvedic doctor, I highly recommend, or a practitioner, to see that and get this basic supply at your home. So as soon as your kid or you get sick, you can start taking this small quantity of natural medicine. So you don't need to suffer for so many days and continue to suffer with lingering mucus and, tiredness and all those things. So these are the few essential stock you want to keep in your home.
Yeah, good point.
Just to take care of naturally. Yeah.
Yeah. And as soon as you see the yellow, greeny mucus, then an infection has taken hold and you need more professional attention, right?
Yeah, it's basically your body's fighting hard, and those colors are from your white blood cells, and lymphocytes are sacrificing themselves and killing, phagocytosis is happening. So you want to definitely give a good support to your body.
Right. And I'm glad you covered the fever, because fever, as you mentioned earlier, it's necessary to fight off the infection. But after a certain point, it can be very harmful. So you need professional care. And you said once the fever goes to what?
About 39 degrees, when it reaches 39 degrees, you need to be already alert. If it goes 39.5 and stuff, you don't want the temperature to raise to go to 40 degrees. So do anything to cool it down.
Okay.
Until that, you don't need to freak out. If your body temperature goes like a 38.5 and stuff, you can just let the body do its stuff. You just support it by warm teas and, getting a good sweat. That will help.
And I'm glad you mentioned warm teas, because I'm thinking about, for something that kids will take, we're talking a lot about children here and their susceptibility to these conditions in the cough stage of life, something like, could you give them for congestion and mucus, like a raw honey with some spices in there, some spices. Yeah.
Like a tulsi tea can be mixed with a little bit of raw honey, warm can be given, because tulsi doesn't have such a strong taste. Kids can enjoy that. Another thing to do at home is you can do with thyme is a very good anti-coughulant. So thyme tea with honey is excellent for children. So or echinacea with honey. These are the things can be easily given to children to help with cough.
Okay. Yeah. It's the thing is what they'll take, if they like the taste. That's why I was thinking about honey, or maybe how about cinnamon? Cinnamon can be a good demuculant as well, right?
Yeah. So you can have some cinnamon with tulsi or ginger or, usually I think kids enjoy cinnamon because they associate it with some kind of pastries or cookies and stuff.
Exactly. To try find how to hide the goodness in there. Okay, great. And then honey being heating. So honey is going to counter the cold, heavy congestion.
And make sure that you don't boil the honey in your tea and bring the tea temperature to drinkable temperature of below 40, 42 degree temperature. and then you mix the honey while you drink.
Yes. Okay, because honey can be toxic if it's if it's
Heated
cooked
up
or
over a
heated.
certain degree.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And do you want to move now onto stomach bug? Because that's a different treatment.
Yeah. Stomach bug, like, upset stomach, loose bowels, diarrhea, vomiting, this indicates that food is indigested. So body just want to get rid of it, upper pathway, lower pathway, depending on where the food is. If it is still in stomach, you're going to throw up. If it has moved the stomach and in this intestine, so it's going to come down. So it's body's natural mechanism. When that happens, the first thing is you don't want to stop it immediately. So you want to let it move and just, keep sipping, not overly drinking too, because if you drink too much, thinking you're dehydrating, a lot of water came out, you're going to activate the intestine, because intestines are not in the mode to grip anything, hold anything, and absorb anything. So you might make the diarrhea worse. So little sipping. And then once everything is gone, then only just you start seeing water. This is the time you want to look into stopping. So simple things you can do to help the diarrhea or nausea to go. Again, ginger tea, that this time is good. Not too much. Just you can have a weak ginger tea with a little bit of honey. Honey is anti-nausea, and also honey helps to reduce the motility. Honey works in a two-way. Honey, when you're constipated, it can help to go to the bathroom, but if you're having severe diarrhea, it helps to slow it down the process. It does a bit of a drying effect. And excellent medicine is nutmeg. Just once you've got rid of all indigested food and bacteria, that foul smelling things of your intestine, you take a half a teaspoon of nutmeg powder and then mix it with a half a teaspoon of raw honey and take it. Particularly if you're eating, and sometimes in the early stages of stomach flu, you eat and your body start to grumble and you feel like you need to go to the bathroom again. So after each meal, you take half a teaspoon of nutmeg powder mixed with half a teaspoon of raw honey. Helps to digest, kill the pathogens, and absorb better. And if you live in an Asian country, you have your garden or you have a guava tree, you can take the young shoots of guava and you can chew those shoots, because they're very astringent. They kill bacteria, pathogens, and stuff. And it also quickly stops the diarrhea. So you can chew them. And if you find the taste is too strong for you, you just boil and reduce the water to half and drink that tea like 100 ml after food to take care of the tummy bug. Mm. And also other things to help with the cramping and bloating is cumin and fennel seed tea. So sipping, and I stress on here, do not drink overly, just keep sipping throughout the day, small quantity, because too much of liquid after the diarrhea can trigger the diarrhea. When you have a tummy bug, it's like an impairment of the bad bacteria over the good ones, right? So to restore back the good bacteria in Ayurveda, what we do is we suggest buttermilk. And buttermilk having all the probiotic things, and buttermilk is grahi, that means it's an absorbent. So you want to use, I'm stressing here because you want to use the proper buttermilk, not that you just take the yogurt and mix a little bit of water and you eat it. Yogurt is more laxative, so you want to use buttermilk. The proper way to make the buttermilk is, yes, it is made out of yogurt. You take the yogurt, you churn it, there's churners for that. If you don't have, just put it in a small glass jar with a lid on it, like 1 part of yogurt and 2 parts of water. And you shake it until the fat starts to come to the top. And you remove that fatty part off, filter it off through a muslin cloth or a fine filter. And that liquid is buttermilk. Into that, you put a little bit of cumin powder, a pinch of salt, and the black salt would be ideal, or the Himalayan pink salt, because they give you the minerals that you might have lost it. And then you just end up the food, have half a cup of that. So this restores your bad bacteria, and your tummy is going to recover faster, increases the Agni, and everything can come back to normal quickly.
Wonderful.
So these are the things to do. At the same time, not to do is not to eat any food whatever you think is good. So eating some dry rice crackers can be helpful because it's dry in nature. It's going to be absorbed and you will not have a good taste for anything. So eating rice crackers is definitely good to do. Eat khichdi. It would be an ideal meal to do, or just the congee kind of food, like, rice cooked for too slow and long with a little bit of vegetable broth or chicken broth. Like, I eat like a baby. This is all I say. Some mashed food, mashed sweet potatoes or mashed carrots, simple, easy baby food. That's what I would say. Do not eat fruits in the first 2-3 days of you having a tummy flu. So you can eat some cooked apple some people crave a really something sweet. So cooked apple is the closest sweetness you can have.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. That's great advice. And thank you for giving that buttermilk recipe, because that's very easy. And then you mentioned cumin and fennel tea. So if you could just give a quick recipe for people with that, would you do 1 teaspoon of the whole seeds of cumin and fennel
per glass? You could just take half a teaspoon each and just crush them so that you can get the active ingredients out. And then you just put it into a boiling water, put the lid and let it simmer for a minute.
Okay, great. And the guava shoots is interesting. So you're saying use the young shoot of the guava.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, like I said, either eat, or if you can't, if it's too astringent, then just boil gently and
and make it into a tea.
Great advice there. Thank you very much. So this is, as you said earlier, Ayurveda is all about prevention. So really stoking the digestive fire and making sure you and your family are eating well, particularly during the upcoming seasonal transition, so that even though your child may be exposed, or you may be exposed to these illnesses and work and school, that you don't necessarily have to get them, as when your digestive fire is strong and your immunity as a result will be strong as well. So there's definitely lots of great tips that Dr. Sujatha just suggested there. Anything else, Dr. Sujatha, before we finish up?
I think this is all, and I want to recommend, if you listeners are interested and further want to educate yourself so you can take good care of yourself and your loved ones and your family, read this book called Prakriti with Robert Subodha. It is a basic understanding of constitution, season, how food works, and so you can be in charge of your own health and its imbalances, and you could do a lot of things to prevent and to take care of yourself. And if you never had done a consultation, I highly recommend to, seek an Ayurvedic doctor or a practitioner. So get an understanding of your constitution, Agni, seasonal changes. So basic principle what we talked. So you are clearly aware. And in this, it's like when machine is not working, you have a basic understanding of to make sure that you can repair that, or you need to go to the doctor. So you can gather these information just through one consultation. So get that done so that you're properly informed, and so taking care of simple cold and flu doesn't need to be difficult, and it doesn't need to take so long to bounce back.
Yeah, exactly. You can either prevent it or catch those mild symptoms and return to balance soon. So, Dr. Sujatha, people are interested in contacting you. Could you tell us more how they can contact you, and as well what you offer in AmrtaSiddhi Ayurvedic Clinic in Bali?
You can contact us through our website, www.AmrtaSiddhi.com, or you can reach us through Instagram if you want a quick response, and reach us through WhatsApping, through or direct messaging through Instagram. And so we are in Bali. We have a center. If somebody is looking into coming and doing a panchakarma or not a panchakarma, just want to rest, recover, heal, learn, it's a place to go, and we offer online services too. So you can find us through that.
It's a wonderful place to go, as you will have heard me speak so much about, and as we just did the retreat there in December, which was wonderful. Dr. Sujatha, thank you so much. This is great discussion today, and great advice, general advice for people to make sure that they can ward off these common colds, flus, and stomach bugs. So thank you.
Thank you, Colette. Thank you for, supporting people out there through your knowledge of Ayurveda and coming up with all these curious questions and, helping others. Thank you for this session too today.
Thank you, Dr. Sujatha. We'll chat again soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye for now. I hope you found that conversation with Dr. Sujatha helpful, and indeed she shared lots of great insights there. If you think that this episode will be helpful to family or friends, please share it with them so we can spread this wisdom of Ayurveda. Please check out all the links in the show notes, and don't forget I have that upcoming discounted group cleanse, the spring cleanse, starting April 19th. So register today and book your 90-minute consultation so we can get you set up to manage this seasonal transition with health and vitality. If you haven't already subscribed or followed the podcast, please do so, and the new episodes will automatically download for you. And if you're finding this podcast beneficial, I would really appreciate a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. You can find me on social media under Elements Healing and Wellbeing on Facebook, and my new Instagram page is Elements of Ayurveda Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take good care of yourself, be well, and bye for now. Slán go fóill.